Why you should have hobbies. Now, the reason you should have hobbies, and a hobby, just to define it for you, is something you do outside of your work time, outside of your family time, your own time, something that you essentially enjoy doing in your recreational time, in the time that you see as free, but also something that could, develop your skills in certain attributes. It could be physical, mental, spiritual, etc., etc. So a few examples of great hobbies are, reading. Reading is a great hobby because you're learning, you're interacting with the material that you're reading, and there's a lot of different types of hobbies. I mean, of course, like you could have like a physical hobby, like going to the gym, maybe partaking in football, table tennis. I'm just naming a few that I personally like and personally do. But you could also have different types of hobbies, like a business hobby, where essentially, you're doing something you love doing, but you're also like monetizing it, or having plans to monetize it as you gain experience in that thing. So for me personally, I would avoid seeing a hobby as something that you make money from. Well, a lot of people do it, like end up having a hobby and then making money from it. But for me personally, I would avoid that. So why you should have hobbies, why you should have a hobby. I think essentially it's very important. It's imperative to have a hobby to improve and develop, one, your social skills, two, your physical, the way you look physically, three, mentally, it's great for your mind and also just being in the moment and improving your mental capacity depending on what hobby you've chosen. And you can have an endless amount of hobbies. Obviously it's best to stick to one at a time and develop a habit in that hobby, so therefore it just becomes easy for you to do this thing every week, every day, every month, whenever you choose to do this thing. Like I mentioned, having a hobby could be multiple different things. Like I would literally consider like a hobby to be anything that essentially you don't necessarily stress over this thing. Like there's no like intentional gain from doing this thing. Essentially you're just doing this thing because you enjoy doing it, and it can benefit you if it does benefit you, but also just essentially having fun. I think we need to accept that some hobbies are just fun and we like doing them. Like some people might have playing games as a hobby. I wouldn't necessarily see that as a hobby if it's not like improving your life. Like if it's causing detriment to your life, then I wouldn't necessarily class it as a hobby. But if you find value in it, you're passionate. Like for me per se, I really do genuinely enjoy playing games, like certain types of games, but I think the experience is lifted or heightened when I play, like, play games with friends, and we're socializing and everyone's just in a great mood speaking about different topics, etc., etc. I'm able to just socialize from the comfort of my home, whilst playing games with friends. But then I also have hobbies like football, where essentially I'll go to like a pitch with a couple friends, or pay money, book a pitch, and you know just learning from others how to be a leader on the pitch, controlling your team, communicating, positioning, awareness, so many things. There's a lot of skills that can be developed in football, as well as like table tennis, just improving your focus, your reaction timing to get the ball back on the table. And obviously like reading, there's so many benefits, like just being in that present moment, sitting down, like actually engaging your brain and your eyes to reading, keeping that information, then applying that information after, if you feel like the information you've gained is valuable. I mean, a lot of people do read non like a lot of like fictional books, which essentially I would say it's still a hobby, and like you're improving your linguistical. I'm not a scientist, but like you're improving your your vocabulary and your English or whatever language it might be that you're reading the book on. But just having hobbies is so important rather than, not having a hobby and just wasting time procrastinating. It would be very important, and the long-term gain from it is so substantial, but you never see it in the beginning. And that's why I always say pick a hobby that kind of resonates with you, who you are as a person. So if you're a very timid person, you like being very reserved, then of course pick a hobby that doesn't essentially like take you out of your comfort zone. And I'm saying this whilst also thinking, you know what? It would probably be better to like do hobbies that you've not tried, things that put you in a discomfortable situation. Of course, we learn the most when we do things that are hard and not easy. And therefore, if you're not someone that likes socializing, or you have very little social experience, then of course pick a hobby that involves socializing. Pick a hobby that, if you're someone that doesn't really, this might sound crazy, but if you don't get if you don't get like physical contact with other people, try get into a sport that can, make you comfortable being touched by others. I know that sounds crazy, but like get into a sport that, makes physical contact normal. And that way, like when you get into a relationship, when you get into a friendship, you have these things that your life is, navigated around. You have all these hobbies. People can see that, like, wow, this guy or this girl has so much, drive in life. They're so occupied by so many, diverse, different hobbies and, lifestyles. And it's just amazing. And you can learn so much more faster if you just have an array, or like a variety of different, like completely different hobbies. So like one hobby could be boxing, which, focuses more on like your endurance, your stamina, physical the physical aspects, also reaction timing, power, strength, speed, like feet work, so many things. And then you could have something like content creation, or even editing, where essentially you're speaking to a camera, you're improving your communication skills. You could be with other people, so you're interacting, socializing with other people, and like you're just gaining so much skills in different areas that essentially, like in 5 years from when you've started that hobby, you've gained so much experience that to a point where like you could literally be classed or deemed as an expert in that field. And you can monetize that and make money from it, or you could just keep it as a hobby and it just keeps your life stress free. Maybe not completely stress free, but of course it diminishes the stress a lot more than if you was just to stay at home. Maybe you link up with friends and you just chill in the house doing nothing. You're all on your phone, just like that, scrolling on TikTok. It's a bit like, you're just diminishing the value of your life. Whereas if you have so many hobbies, one, you're keeping yourself busy, you're interacting with people, your like physical activity is like increasing because you're doing a lot more things. You're improving your mental capacity, you're learning every day, therefore growing. Learning is so important, and you can't really learn or develop yourself if you don't know what to do. That's why I say try different things. Try things that are the last thing you would ever do. So some people, they're afraid of heights. That would be the last thing they ever do. I would say, yeah, go make a hobby that improves or gets rid of the fear of heights. Some people are afraid of like animals or insects. Make a hobby every month. You go to the zoo and you interact with different animals. And these are just like, ways to improve confidence, improve your mental health. There's so many benefits, social skills to just having a hobby. There's so many benefits, and I would highly recommend it. Now, I remember when I was younger, I've probably mentioned this in a previous video. I used to do rowing, and at first it was more like a punishment, but then eventually it became a hobby wherein I would go in to do rowing almost daily at school, in secondary school. So I was roughly like 14, 15. I think I was like 14, and it was my maths teacher, Mr. Simmons, who encouraged me to, keep pushing forward, keep getting those meters in, and slowly but surely I would hit 25,000 meters, 100k meters, and I think I passed the threshold of 500,000 meters. I got a certificate and everything. We went to a London Youth Rowing Games, and now I just have that experience. It's almost like riding a bike. Like in the beginning stage of riding a bike, it might seem like a punishment, like you're trying to like balance yourself on the wheel. You can't, you might drop a couple times. That's painful. But you sacrifice all that pain, all that negative, the negative feelings that might come in the beginning stages, but then you get better. You learn, you finally, for the first time, you don't need your friend's support, and you actually manage to ride around the whole of your road, whatever, around just around your house, whatever you might do, maybe in the park. And then you feel accomplished. You're like, you know what? Like, I know how to ride a bicycle now. I enjoy doing this. And that accomplishment makes you feel good. Whereas, if you quit in the beginning, you would have gone through that negative experience. Then you would have not been able to ride a bike, because you let the negative experience in the beginning stop you from continuing. And then the final result is you can't ride a bicycle, and you tell people, I've tried. The great thing is you've tried, but the negative is that you still don't know how to ride a bicycle, and that's the final result. And that's kind of like shameful. It's like, you've tried to do this thing, you've trained to do this thing, and you still can't do it. So it's like, I'm not saying become a jack of all trades but a master of none, but find your hobby. Obviously I have hobbies that I'm interested in. You can copy my hobbies. Usually I like doing things that involve a lot of like reaction timing and endurance. Take a lot of it, my endurance, speed. I'm quite young, and I don't really have like a fragile body, but I still make my way, take the action, and by doing so, even though I might be like terrible, I'm not the best footballer, I'm not the best table tennis player, I'm not the best rower, I'm not the best sprinter, but I'm improving my skill in these things, so that in the future, if there may be a need where I need to utilize or use this skill, like reading and stuff like that, if I need it, I'll be able to do it, because I've gone through the trial and error, and I've become stable enough to actually do it adequately. Like, I might fail again, like on my first time after a couple years, but just I already know what to do, so therefore I'm not gonna stress. I'm not gonna need as much assistance as I did when I first started. And I think it's very imperative to find a hobby, find multiple hobbies, keep yourself busy. Of course, you can find work in these hobbies and stuff like that, but I'm primarily speaking on finding a hobby and doing something you love doing or enjoy doing, or something you've never done before. And you never know, that might be the thing. That could be the thing that you truly want to keep pushing in. Maybe you might have found your new purpose, your new passion. I think having a hobby or having hobbies is essential to life, and if you're not doing it, you're missing out, and you're just going to be that boring person, that people meet, that like has no hobbies. Or what did you like, you can't even tell people experiences you've had like yesterday or the last week, because you didn't do anything. I can tell you, like last week I lost the football match, but like I really enjoyed the game, and like I learned so much, and I improved my midfield position, and I know what to focus on next game to be a better player. Like sometimes I win, sometimes I score goals, sometimes I get a lot of assists. So it's just like at the end of the day, I'm being grateful for what I'm doing. I've also got a story to tell with me as well, and that's just one aspect. I could speak about so many other things, but currently, right now, I am more focusing on, you know, pushing out as much content as I can to help as many people as possible, and also improving myself, self-developing, self-improving, as well as increasing my finances, and also like trying to make sure that I'm gaining knowledge, educating myself daily, improving my diet, my health, staying in touch with family, keeping on track with, you know, budgeting and financing. And all these things are difficult to like sustain. Sorry, my back is hurting. That sounds crazy, but pause. So yeah, genuinely, I think just having hobbies is so important. And if you don't have hobbies, like I said, you're missing out. And I would highly encourage you to get some hobbies. Literally as simple as just going online, and you could literally go on YouTube and just start watching podcasts. Every day you watch one podcast a day. I can recommend you one, Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. He has some phenomenal podcasts there, and he speaks about all different types of things: health, finances, you know, so many different things, coffee, sports, etc., etc. But it doesn't need to cost you anything. Like if you don't have the money to provide for, you know, hobbies, then it doesn't need to cost you much. I literally spend like £5 a week on football, and table tennis. Literally, I usually do go with like a friend, and it's free to get in, so it's like I don't spend any money there. So like hobbies are free and can be free or cheap. And I think the more you invest into yourself, the better value you get from your hobbies anyway. Like if you were spending £100 on like a sports center package, whatever, on multiple different sports, and you can bring your friends and stuff like that, then like that's amazing. Like you have a variety of options to choose from. Like I think it's imperative to have hobbies. And like I said, if you're not having hobbies, you're gonna be a lot more dull. You're gonna be more lethargic. You're gonna not have the best of communication skills. Your focus will be lower. Your reaction timing will be lower. But with all these things, you know, having hobbies in your life can improve all these things, can improve your confidence, can improve your physical attributes. So if you want to look better, if you want to feel better, if you want to have a better mental clarity, then have hobbies. And your wife or your girlfriend, your husband or your boyfriend, they're going to appreciate you for having these hobbies. And you know what? Go have these hobbies with these people as well. If you're in a relationship, introduce hobbies, introduce activities, introduce adventures. If you're not in a relationship, you go do these things, so that when you get into one, you've already stabilized it, and you know, like, oh, I can take you there and we can go try this out. If you don't like it, that's fine, we'll try something else. So you think about that, and I truly do believe this will change your life. I'm trying to create a generation of men and women in the future, for the younger generation, for their offspring, for my offspring. Because right now, a lot of things, a lot of content online is very degenerate. Like I see a lot of stupid things online, and I don't want to be part of the problem. I'd rather be part of the solution. And I might not get many views now for these type of videos, but I do see a great vision in the future for this walk of life I'm on. And of course, I am grateful to God for giving me the wisdom and the knowledge to apply this wisdom that I've gained to assist you guys. So hopefully you found some value from this video. I know this might not have been like the most entertaining video, but I truly do believe that hobbies can change your life. So go find a hobby. It's been your boy PaulKhadar. We out.